Hello students, today we are going to discuss about autohemolysis test. Autohemolysis test is another special test for hemolytic anemia. Introduction. This test measures the amount of spontaneous hemolysis that occurs when blood is incubated at 37 degrees centigrade for 48 hours and 24 hours, 24 hours and 48 hours. The effect of this hemolysis if glucose is added to the blood prior to incubation is noted. So with the glucose and without glucose at both the hours, 24 hours and 48 hours is noted. Principle of the test. When blood is incubated, very little or no hemolysis occurs after 24 hours and a lysis may be little in the presence after 48 hours. If glucose is added prior to incubation, the lysis reduced as glucose metabolized protects the red cells from lysis. So, membrane defect, any membrane defect will be protected. If there is a red cell membrane defect, lysis is increased but is prevented when glucose is added, as the glucose provides the cell with energy to maintain its shape. In red cell enzyme defect, lysis is increased and it is not prevented even after adding glucose, since enzymes to utilize this glucose is deficient. This is the principle of the test. Indication. The test is used to diagnose hereditary spherocytosis, spontaneous hemolysis, RBC enzyme deficiency and other hemolytic anemias. Reagents. We require Drapkin's solution, the same Drapkin's solution which is used for the Symonds hemoglobin estimation method, and we require 10 ml solution of a sterile 100 gram per liter glucose solution. Procedure. Using sterile precautions, collect 20 ml blood from the patient and defibrillate it. I have told the procedure in my previous slides about how defibrillation is done. So defibrinated blood is collected, 20 ml blood is collected. So same way the control sample or normal sample also 20 ml defibrinated blood is collected. Next, take 16 screw capped sterile bottles and label 8 as patients, which is shown in the table below. This is of the patient, and similarly 8 as control. In each of the 8 patient container, deliver 2 ml of the defibrinated blood. I have shown here tube 1 to 8 is labeled and blood sample 2 ml into each of the tube is taken. Now, keep a portion of control and the patient sample separate and separate the serum to use as blank when taking the test reading. That is, only the serum part is separated out and used as the blank. Into the 4 of the patient, same way in case of control also, 4 of the control samples, control tubes, first 4 tubes, add 0.1 ml of the sterile glucose solution. So only into the first 4 tubes you add the glucose solution. Mix all the tubes, 1 to 8 tubes of the patient, 1 to 8 tubes of the control are mixed. Place all the 8 tubes of patient and control in an incubator at 37 degrees centigrade for 24 hours. After 24 hours, look for the signs of discoloration in any of the bottles. If present or there is contamination, then discard it. Remove 4 control containers, 2 with glucose and 2 without glucose. Now in my previous slide I have told 1, 2, 3, 4 as with the glucose. So here we will be taking 2 with glucose, that is 1 and 2 with glucose, and 5 and 6 without glucose. I have colored the tubes with glucose in red, right? Now pool the tube. If there is no discoloration, pool the tube with 1 and 2 and 5 and 6. The remaining 8 tubes, that is 4 of the patient and 4 of the control, are kept back for further 24 hours incubation at 37 degrees centigrade. That is, we will take it out after 48 hours. So pooling is done with the glucose and without the glucose. Similarly for the patient as well as the control samples. Now take a sample from each of the container to estimate the PCV. That is from both the tubes. One is of the glucose with the glucose and another one is without glucose. Now centrifuge the remainder in each container at 2500 rpm and separate the supernatant serum. Readings are taken 1 in 10 dilution of each of the supernatant serum and blood in Trapkin's solution. So blood here, to estimate the PCV we have taken the blood, right? So that blood is diluted with Trapkin solution and supernatant with the supernatant with the serum solution. So R0, reading of diluted whole blood. RT is reading of diluted supernatant serum at 48 hours and at 24 hours, and PCVT is packed cell volume at 48 hours and 24 hours. Calculation. Percentage of hemolysis is calculated by this formula, that is RT into 100 minus PCVT divided by R0 into 20. Result. Normal range of percentage lysis at 48 hours is with the glucose is 0.2 to 4%. And without glucose is 0.2 to 4%, and with the glucose is 0 to 0.5%. Although the test need only to be read after 48 hours, because of the incubation, there may be bacterial contamination due to added glucose. One set reading is taken at the end of 24 hours of incubation. So similar containers duplicate is taken after 48 hours. The same reason is for duplication, why we use 2 test tubes for in case of glucose, with glucose and without glucose. Interpretation. Little or no lysis occurs when a normal blood is incubated at 48 hours under sterile condition, and after 48 hours the amount of lysis is small. This is in case of normal. If glucose is added so that it is present in blood throughout the incubation, the development of lysis is markedly reduced. Increased amount of lysis is seen in hemolytic anemias such as spherocytosis, may be both hereditary as well as acquired. In hereditary spherocytosis, the amount of hemolysis is increased. The level depends on the severity of the defect in the cell. In red cell enzyme defect, hemolytic anemia, the autohemolysis is increased and the tubes with added glucose may show little decrease of lysis or no decrease in the lysis, or even increased lysis may be seen as in case of pyruvate kinase deficiency. If the supernatant serum added are brown or opaque, it may be due to unstable hemoglobin. The autohemolysis test lacks specificity. The best way to detect enzyme deficiency in red cells is to measure the enzyme level. This is about autohemolysis.